Do-do-do.
Bom dia, Portugal!
In Portugal, there's a YouTube show full of fun facts you need to know. Carl rings the bell and the members show to the GMP morning show. Featured guests will come and they will blow your mind. The audience will do so in kind. The little vanity mixed with some insanity on the morning show with GMP.
Good morning, Portugal, and I'd like to welcome you to another fantastic day.
Hey, Gumpers.
The Carl Munson here with Good Morning Portugal Show live stream and the podcast. How are you? How was your weekend? Do let us know in the chat. And if you want to send us a message, you know you can do that on, the Portuguese country code is 00351. I wonder who decided those things. 913-590-303. So 913-590-303. I made a complete mess, didn't I, of those messages. I asked you to send messages in on that number and I would play them. And then when I played them, I was enjoying them. You couldn't hear them. Here's one.
Hola, bom dia todos. This is Barrick from Texas. Thought I would chime in, say good morning. Yes, I'm watching GMP. It is now 9:28. A little later
It's
there.
not.
Have a great day. Talk to y'all soon. Bye.
All right, it was 9:28 when he sent that. Maybe it's best not to do a time check when you're sending your message. Could be quite confusing for people, especially on catch up too. Andy Klein's in, Deagle's in, Coach Turner, T-Duck, Mr. S. Nice to see more of you, Mr. S. How are you doing? And Just James, Banana Slugs Dude, will of course be here at 9, as will Bob and Viv at 9:30. The Portugal Pathfinders. Their website coming along nicely. Saw it over the weekend. We've been with them all the way as they've developed that service, haven't we? Really, from first finding out about Bob and Viv making their home in Ponte Lima from Colorado in the United States, now living in Ponte Lima, having a great life, enjoying themselves, and helping other people move to Portugal. Find out more about that and them, see how they're doing at 9:30 this morning. James at 9, and I thought we might start the show rocking out this morning, a little bit different. Often when we play music, I think it's on Thursdays we play, or Thursday or Friday we play music, and it's at the end of the show. And I thought I would mix it up a little bit, given that we had a great weekend. And it's sometimes restful on a Monday here, isn't it? A little bit of a chance to recover from the weekend. I'm going to keep the weekend going with some great music here. You may not have been expecting this, so fasten your safety belts, hold on to your seat, and let's have it's a 3-minute tune to start the day today, to start the weekend. It's the Wildflowers and their tune Shady Lady. Hoping to have somebody from the band here in the next few days to talk about this. But this is a great video and a great song. I hope you'll agree. a song that DJ's Fear that ends suddenly. Well, that's great, isn't it? That's the Wildflowers and Shady Lady. A slightly different start to the show and the week. The day has finally arrived. Very happy to share with you our first single and video, Say Wildflowers, a couple of days ago on Facebook. Shady Lady from our upcoming, forthcoming self-titled EP. Is that where we can use the word eponymous? Out everywhere from August the 11th, 2023. Make sure your playback resolution is set to the highest setting for the optimal viewing experience on YouTube, of course, and also available on Spotify, Apple Music, SoundCloud. You can buy the single on Bandcamp, and they've got some exclusive merch as well. And they are planning a UK tour, written and produced by Jessica Martins, engineered, mastered, and produced by Nelson Rodriguez. Video directed and edited by Jessica Martin. She's a talented lady, isn't she? Additional camera work by Sven Middensol. And thank you, they say, to everyone who helped out make this a reality. We are truly an indie DIY band. Very good too, I would say. And we can't succeed without help in spreading the word. So please consider sharing the video and track, telling your friends, adding us to your playlist, pre-ordering our record, blasting us from your cars, etc., etc. There you go, the Wildflowers and their new tune, Shady Lady. Hope you like that. And let's see how everyone's doing in the chat this morning. Catchy tune. Yes, absolutely right, Diego, isn't it? I was whistling it or humming it, and I was thinking, what is that? Ooh, that they've written a good one there. I only listened to it a couple of times, and then I was humming it. So yeah, you're right. Good back sound. I bet later today we're humming this song. I think you might be right. Shady Lady. It's got some teenage dirtbag vibes going on there, isn't it? Bon Alegria said T-Duck at 7:58 this morning with the deep thoughts. Let's go from rocking out to rocking in or locking in. No, not locking in. Reflecting within with the words of Jonathan Lockwood Huey. Jonathan Lockwood Huey, known as the philosopher of happiness, and writes the popular daily inspiration daily quote. Deep thought then for today: forgive others. Not because they deserve forgiveness. This was last Friday's, wasn't it? But it's good enough to do again. It's good enough to do again. But because you deserve peace. Yes, definitely worthy of a reminder. Forgive others, not because they deserve forgiveness, but because you deserve peace. And who are we to judge anyway whether others deserve forgiveness or not? I think it's so much more to do with peace in the valley, peace in your soul, and just freeing yourself of all of these ideas and burdens. Oh my God, judgments and opinions. Aren't we all weighed down by that nonsense day after day, minute by minute, hour after hour? Maybe James will pick up on that later on. Maybe that's something you can attempt to leave behind on the doorstep or on the to customs when you move country. Maybe that's why they're so grumpy, because everybody leaves all their baggage emotionally on the borders. Those people who work in, I guess they've got to keep a straight face. But then what would be the harm in saying, hello, welcome, nice to see you? Who are the most cheerful border people you've ever met in your life? I know when I came back from Mexico into California, the only time I've done it, because I got terrified, I got grifted by a Mexican cop. But so when I got back, there was a very cheerful Californian migration controller. I'm sure that's not their title. Migration officer, border guard. Do you have any nuclear weapons on board, sir? No, I'm only kidding. Hey, welcome to California. I had such a bad time. I didn't catch his joke. Should have seen the look on my face. Quem sabia then? Portugal has a second official language besides Portuguese. Mirandês is an Astur-Leonese language that is sparsely spoken in a small northeastern Portugal, in a small area of northeastern Portugal, in Terra de Miranda. Talking of which, we're getting dangerously near to Spain up there, aren't we? How did it go in Spain? I jumped on, as did T-Duck, onto Stu's Que Tal Amigos Spain Speaks live stream yesterday. He was talking about the Spanish election. Were there any upsets, surprises? I didn't look at that yet this morning. Anyone else seen that? Anyway, and we'll play a little bit of this because T-Duck's found a cracking video featuring some of this language. In 2001, Mirandês was officially recognized by the European Bureau for Lesser Used Languages, the LUL, a lull for the lesser used languages, which aims to promote the survival of the least spoken European languages. Mirandês is a descendant of the Astur-Leonese variety spoken in the Kingdom of Leon Cléon, and has a distinct phonology, morphology, and syntax. With roots from the Vulgar Latin spoken in northern Iberia. See, the Romans would have known, wouldn't they, as they went through town, if people were speaking Vulgar Latin or if they were, of the top brass or not. It's interesting, isn't it, how people organized themselves throughout history and time. Can't help it, can we? In the 19th century, Zelait de Vasconcelos called Mirandés the language of the farms, of work, home, and love between the Mirandés. Since 1986, it has been optionally taught to students. So should we have a listen to some of that and see if we can emulate it maybe? Let's have a listen. Here are three gentlemen speaking the language. Just play a little clip and I'll put the whole video into the Learn About Portugal resource. Every factoid that comes from T-Duck is immortalized at learnaboutportugal.com. Let's have a listen to Antonio, Domingos and Porfirio here.
Olha, eu portanto estou sentado num talho que foi feito quando se tiravam, quando se faziam os carros das vacas, tirava-se assim, dizíamos nós, olha, de um olhar de uma roda de um carro das vacas.
Pois.
E começou o mais velho, estou sentado num talho mais velho.
Pois. E os carros aqueles eram puxados a umas vacas, tinham uns cornos, e eram duas vacas a puxar o carro. Carregava-se no brano, nos manolhos, para trair pelas eiras. Depois descarregavam-se e fazia-se um bornal grande. Depois era trilhado com as vacas, com os trilhos ao redor. E nós volvíamos as parvas com os vendos e com umas tornadeiras. E dávamos a volta e depois aquilo até que estava desfeito. Juntava-se e limpava-se com o leire espanholo, que era melhor que o português. Fazíamos uns molos de trilho e centeno, muita gente a limpar e vamos cedo para lá de noite, porque depois fazia calor e não se podia andar a limpar aquelas parvas. Juntávamos muita gente e comemos. Quando se acabava de comer, era uma mandinhada. Comíamos uns cordeiros assados ou guisados, qualquer maneira. Tínhamos bom dente naquela altura, comíamos todo. E passávamos assim o tempo. E nossos pais ajudavam-nos ainda a fazer aquelas festas e a trabalhar. E aquele cereal, aquelas terras que estavam aquele pão, eram aradas com vacas, burros, e nós atrás deles. E cantávamos os cantigas quando se andava a arar, e passávamos assim o nosso tempo. Agora podes começar.
Mas então para as vacas terem força para carregar o pão, tínhamos que las ir a fartar. Estar com elas ou não estar com elas. E então nós, que fazíamos? Quando estávamos 2 ou 3 a...
I was hoping to, that was fantastic. Antonio, Domingos, and I can't quite see. Let's have a look. It's Antonio, definitely there. And it was interesting because I have heard people speaking this elsewhere. Porfirio. So that's a name I've never heard of. Antonio, fair enough. Domingos, maybe. But Porfirio, no. Maybe that's a Mirandés name. And I've heard people saying Bonoiti. It's the E on the end of some of the words there, isn't there? Which is maybe the Mirandés there. Thank you, T-Duck, for finding that. That was fascinating. I was hoping to hear if that's who they are from left to right, Antonio, Domingos, and Porfirio. I'm guessing that might be the case because the older gentlemen have got older, old-fashioned names, haven't they? And that might be Antonio on the left. But that was superb. Thank you so much. And that will be immortalized at among the learnaboutportugal.com resources. We better get a move on. We've been rocking out. We've been listening to Mirandés, and we've got some dad jokes squirreled away for later on. And I can't wait to see the look on Bob and Viv and James's faces later on. James was in at 8:03 this morning. Bom dia, Gampers. Feliz segunda a todos. Como foi o vosso fim de semana? How was your weekend? Do let us know. Nosso fim de semana foi livre do Papa. Escaping the Pope, I think, T-Duck. A próxima semana não será tão calma. It's going to be a right old bun fight, isn't it? A Catholic, Catholic chaos. Catholic chaos in the capital from next week. The border controls have begun coming in by air, sea, or land. There are GNR road checks to make sure everyone coming in and out of the country is here appropriately, is what I'll say. So yes, Lisbon perhaps not a great place to be. Nor I mean, San Martino de Porto is a great place to be. A little bit rainy this morning, which is quite welcome in the garden. We've got some lovely tomatoes, melons, all sorts of lovely things growing, and it's so nice to be here on the ground floor these days. And I'm going to get my temperature probe connected so I can tell you what the temperature is outside. I was going to say next week it is going to be crazy in San Martino, as it will be in Lisbon, and we're getting to the busiest times of the year, and that extra. Well, he's an expected item in the bagging area, isn't he? The Pope, if I may speak to him in such a contemporary and everyday terms there. Papa will be preaching for sure in Lisbon, and so it will be very, very busy. But the shops will be open all night if you're struggling to get your shopping, as we discovered on our Learn About Portugal quiz, which I'll save today for the collected gang, and we'll run that question past them. So it's a cracker this morning, actually, for those of you who love astronomy. So busy week coming up in Lisbon when the Pope's here, and a busy month coming up here in San Martino de Porto. And we have a dad joke warning to issue, I would say. So stand by. There's quite a lot of this morning, it would appear.
Warning. Warning.
Yes, James, dad joke warning, visual and textual this morning. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the first annual meeting of the Assumption Club. I think we all know why we are here. That is strong. That is very strong. I'm looking for you see, I've been mixing it up a bit on the jingle pad here so that I can play you T-Duck and Mrs. Duck's jingles, and you can actually hear them this time. What I needed to share with you just then was, I think we all know why we're here. Yes. A little Ericeira. Oh, actually, no, before we move on and before I forget, let's bring on James's visual dad joke as well. This actually very good. This is a proper forehead slapper this morning, and it will go with his own jingle, quite rightly. Here we have a gentleman talking about his horse. This is my horse. I call him Mayo and sometimes mayonnaise. The horse. This is the funniest bit for me. The horse. And I think, of the animals of the world, it's likely to be a cat or a horse that is thinking this about the human being. Idiot.
Stop it, you idiot.
That's the horse. Mayo. Sometimes mayonnaise. Ay, ay, ay. Okay, thank you for that, James. You can explain yourself a little bit later on when you arrive. And a little Ericeira historical factoid. As long as it's not a hysterical factoid, we're okay. Dom Manuel, the last king of Portugal and the Portuguese royal family, escaped the October 5th, 1910 revolution by fleeing on the royal yacht Amelia IV that was docked at the Praia dos Pescadores in Ericeira. And did they do a bunk to Brazil? The monarch was only... And did they declare Rio, the capital of Portugal, thereafter? Is that those guys? So the monarch was only 20 years old and accompanied by Queen Amélie of Orléans and Queen Mother Maria Pia. That was quite an esteemed boat right there, wasn't it? He lived the rest of his life in exile in England. So over to the UK. Birds of a feather flock together. Royal families, they do tend to look after each other. Yes, I think I know where he lived, because there's Orléans Park, not far from where I lived in southwest London for a little while. And I think that's where the Portuguese king and his queen lived, perhaps. Yes, look, for the rest of their lives. Very good. Mr. S was in with good morning to your mercies and to your blessings, your Ben Suish this morning. And I asked that classic, what's new, Gumpers? I'm glad to see all together now, New York and New Jersey and old jokes.
Stop it, you idiot.
Not the one I was hoping for, but that works. That really works. Okay, Mr. S, I think having a good time in Portugal. Tell us more about how it's going, if you will, Mr. S. Good to see you. And Coach Turner checking in. Just been up to the apocalypse. Not the apocalypse. The Acropolis. Monday Gumpers just been up the Acropolis It's truly There's a joke in there, isn't there? Maybe a paintball game at the Acropolis called Acropolis Now. Combat in the Acropolis. And Martin Sheen wakes up at the beginning, and you can just hear the fan and maybe a helicopter in the distance. And Martin Sheen wakes up and says, "Athens, here." Andy Klein, good morning, everyone. I think I didn't read all of that out, did I? He's just been up in the Acropolis. Oh, it is truly spectacular. But oh my goodness, the crowds. How far away are you from Rhodes? Things got a bit serious in Rhodes over the weekend, didn't they? God Squad tip of the day then, before we make our way towards James. A good God Squad tip of the day. I tend to wear, what do you call a Frenchman in sandals? His Philippe Philopes in hot climbs. But yes, James, but I've noticed my Achilles tendons complain after a couple of days. The talking tendons here. So I've been alternating with trainers. This is true. I tend to do this. I get a pair of shoes I like, and then I just wear them until they're worn out. Anyone who knows me may have noticed. But it's right to mix it up. Give your feet some exercise. Wearing the same shoes for days can alter the strength of your feet and ankles. So it's a good idea to mix it up. That's good advice generally in life, isn't it? Mix it up. Get the balance right. Don't be too sort of holding too fast to anything. Or any habits. Yeah, a little bit of relief and balance in life. Bon dia, Carl and Gumpers from a dry Belfast from Deagle then. Thanks, Coach Turner. And there's a little, not a lot, but a little bit of blue sky over Belfast. Not enough to stitch a hole in the sailor's trousers, eh? Deagle, Belfast, dry 15 then. Today could be a shorts and sandals day. Definitely sounds like it in Belfast at 15 degrees. And back in my day, global warming was called the seasons. Now weather is one big mixed up mess. Definitely. It is, isn't it? Or have we just got the rose-tinted views of our childhoods when summer started on the 1st of July, ended when we went back to school, and winter started on the 1st of December until maybe the 1st of February, and we just knew where we stood, didn't we? I mean, we had to put up with everything being in black and white, of course, but apart from that, you knew where you stood with the seasons. Chris is here. Hello, good morning all. He sounds rather cheerful, despite perhaps being on public transport this morning. How's it going? And I mean, you've got to do something with this public transport reportage that you have. And I would like to say it was a pleasure to be on the Man Cave on Friday, the Cave-versary of 2 years, but it wasn't. It was horrible. And that's just exactly how it's meant to do. It was actually it's a good bonhomie and blokey bonding. So it was great to be hanging out with the Man Cavers on Friday. 2 years. Well done. Well done. What's this? Totally Rock. Oh, yeah, that was the tune we played earlier on. This Totally Rocks, dude. Shady lady. You see, we can remember it. It's a catchy tune. Always a rooster in Portugal. Oh, yeah, with the fellas in the background. Yes, absolutely. And James says, it's my understanding that vulgar Portuguese is used a lot in the north as well. You're all that swearing, isn't it? In Porto. Well, everyone from Jess. Morning, Jess. Morning, Bob. Morning, Antonio F. And Lee McGrady. Good morning, people. Now, he took me to task on Friday. I don't want to be moaning McGrady. So you can decide. Next time he's on the show, we'll see what he's got to say for himself. Will he be moaning McGrady, the moaning McGrady moment, or will it be McGrady's motivational moment? We shall see. The Mancunian McGrady with his motivation or his moaning. We shall see next time he's on the show. Good morning, Portugal. Carl Porfirio is a real Portuguese name. That's the name of one of my uncles. It's not so common nowadays. So something blowing about in the garden. It's a bit blustery here for the 24th of July. It is a dialect language. We have one in Northern Ireland, Ulster. Scots spoken mostly in the northeast of the country. Yes, there is that connection, isn't there? Bye, Andy. Good morning to you. My wife's family in the north of Portugal speak in a similar dialect. Boa noite. I think that's what they say, isn't it? Matty's here. Bon dia. Alegria a todos de Quinta Andragos. Just a quick hello, as I need to use the time till 11 to use my strimmer. Highest fire risk today, so only till 11 are you able to use a strimmer. There's a bit of dew on the ground, presumably, and it's a bit damp. So crack on, Matty. And Lee, did you have a good time? Yeah, who went to Jason's party and how was it? Sounded like a techno rave in a campsite, if I know Jason. I hope you all had a fantastic time. Suze is in from the Várzea de Meruge, and some lovely video on Facebook. If you're a friend of Suze's on Facebook, a wonderful brass band, marching through the village. And those were some Portuguese men speaking the other Portuguese official language, Mirandês, spoken by some 10,000 people in 2 small municipalities in northeastern Portugal. Yeah, what was that video, Jess asked, that we just watched? Yeah, it was the fellas speaking Mirandês. Sarah, Heather might be in touch with you. She was looking for some help in Setúbal. Good morning to you, Sarah. Great to see you. And the Santiago festivities here surrounded me yesterday. From parades to the Big Bash at the bottom of the road. Music blasted till 2 a.m. That's the way we roll in Portugal, isn't it? Nice to meet locals. Had my first Portuguese beer and a bifana. What? Oh, as in a combo. I'm presumably you've had a Portuguese beer before now, but one of those in each hand. You know you're in Portugal, don't you, when you've got a sagres in one hand, often at these events in a plastic cup and in the right hand. I mean, which are you? Are you bifana in the right or the left hand? And if you're Bairranda, you can still manage to take a photograph. That's when you know you're Portuguese. You can take a selfie whilst you have a beer and bifana in your hands. Marty's here. Hello, Marty. How are you? Great to see you here, my friend. Good morning to you. It's 9 o'clock. You know what that means, don't you, on a Monday? Yeah, James does, thankfully. And he's remembered to join us this morning. Let's play his video and chat to him after this. Oh, there he is. But not there. James, the music disappeared, and then it was only me and not you. Hello, and good morning to you, James. How are you? There, you can have some of that. That was a scary moment. What I found is if I shut some of the other applications down, the videos do stream a little bit better, which is what you might expect. I was hastily doing that. The mouse wasn't cooperating. And there I was just like, staring like a rabbit into the headlights, hoping you would be on my right-hand side. But here you are now. How was your weekend?
Well, you are 99% on it with all that stuff. I would have been about 12 steps behind. Still trying to figure out where the link is to get my face on the screen. So
I figured out that bit. I think it's always good to hear your music. Always good to see you. How you doing? What's going on?
Estou fantástico, obrigado. Trying to say what's new.
Quid novi, if we're talking in Latin.
Well, I'm just trying to think in terms of what is new, not how to say it.
Oh, I see. New York, New Jersey, and old jokes.
Yes, that it's funny. I didn't see the lead into that. All I saw was New York and New Jersey. I said, "What is that about?" So
now you know.
It's the importance of the sequence in which the things are presented. Yes. Inevitably with my jokes, I set them up and then I follow up with something, and then you start with the follow-up, go to 3 other things, and then come to the setup. It's like, what?
Is everybody keeping up?
It can be very confusing.
Yes. Well, you can imagine what it's like for me when all I see on the screen is something like a tub of Vaseline. I'm thinking, what?
Yes.
Where did that begin? What's the origin and genesis of that comment on the screen there?
Yeah, the trouble with trying to go chronologically through the whole thing is that they exponentially speed up. So by the time you come to an hour and a half of show, you've got 3 hours worth of comments to get through. So I understand the challenge.
And didn't Mrs. M do well with that last Monday?
She did very well on Monday. Yes, that was enjoyable.
Yeah, and it was only a week ago. I can't believe it. That seems like a long time ago since I was sailing on the Tejo. But thank you, Mrs. M, for that. And thank you, James and Vitor, of course, for helping out.
Always really my pleasure.
Safe.
And I don't know if you saw the comment last week. You said you had only missed the one show. And my comment was, well, you didn't miss that one either. You were there. So
it's true, isn't it? It's true. Yeah. And I was racking my brains thinking there must have been times, but we've always attempted to put something on or to have some sort of service every morning, and that's how we intend to roll here. Yes, until
And
the
you think
mouse.
of it, what a blessing, what a thing to be grateful for. You can say that you have been able to do what you're choosing to do every single day that you
Yeah,
choose to do it for what, 2.5 years or however long it's been.
something like, I don't even
That's
know
incredible.
how long now, but yeah, I am truly grateful, and I'm grateful for how this is, that it gets me up and up. I start the day like this, and it's a blessing that other people care to join me as well.
Yeah. You make me get out of bed in the morning too,
Yeah,
Carl.
right.
But
That's right. we have in some small way changed the habits of people perhaps who might otherwise be. When I looked out of the our dogs sleep outside, and I looked across the Jimmy Choo this morning, and he was in his kennel, and he had his paw over his face like that. It was really
is that the
curious.
sun already?
And when he come, I don't know if it was the sun or how he was shielding, what he was shielding himself from. It just looked like Monday. And there may be others like that.
Well, they do say it's a dog's life. I think that's supposed to be a good thing. I don't know, I never could quite figure out how a dog's life was supposed to be a negative thing, but I guess it depends on what dog you are, just like
exactly
all
and
existence.
what your conditions are. Thank you for that factoid earlier on. The Portuguese. I wasn't sure if it was the Portuguese king who buggered off to Brazil. Turns out he went to the UK or England. It would have been called his French queen.
Well, it's not often I get a little piece of specific Ericeira history, and I think twice royals have fled the country from the Ericeira fisherman's port. So it must.
Okay, that's the preferred exit, is it?
Apparently, I don't know. There's a little chapel right above the Praia dos Pescadores that has a little. I actually have a photo of it, a statement of history of one of those. But it could be that it's just relatively close to Lisboa. I don't know where the royalty were staying, but anyway.
But off they went to England, where they perhaps realized that maybe there's a code among kings and queens that if you're unruly, if the peasants are revolting and they want rid of you,
hey, that's no way to talk about peasants.
I'm sure that's how the royals talk about it.
Yes, and vice versa, I'm sure.
Yeah. I mean, maybe is that the code among royals? It's like, okay, we just head to the nearest monarchy. And
it's getting a bit tough. Let's get on a boat and leave.
It's Ericeira. Call Ericeira. Send a horse ahead to Ericeira. We're on our way to Holley, England.
Prepare the oxen to push the boat out into the water, or however they did it at that time.
It would make an amazing film, wouldn't it? The atmosphere on that boat, the sailors, the regular folk, who in some ways I suppose would have been turncoats to the Republicans, wouldn't they? Assisting the monarchs to get away from the country rather than plunging them straight into the water. So it would have been quite the atmosphere there until they sailed some way around into the Bay of Biscay, and it was that they were a little safer. And the atmosphere on there with, what was it? The king, the queen, and the queen mother, all just hoping for safe passage back to England. It'd be a pretty good basis for a movie, I'd say.
Yeah, I think I've seen that movie like many times, fleeing people who of high position. Yeah.
Yes, and you've got to have, if on those boats at that time, you've got to have creaking timber, haven't you?
Always.
Like quiet sea,
a slow creak. Yes.
And then out of the silence, a small boy will shout something from the top of the sails, won't they? Land ahoy!
And occasionally a rope against the mast.
Yeah, and then a storm sequence. There's got to be a storm sequence. We're sailing into rough weather, sir. Batten down the hatches, and then you have to have and then like chests and people rolling from one. Whoa!
Who needs Good Morning Portugal? We're creating movies on the spot.
Boat movies right there for you. We've done. I think anything else? Did me and James forget anything? When they see land, that's an important scene. Isn't
ahoy! Yes, land ahoy!
And somebody running along to catch the rope,
and for some reason a bell ringing. Ding
ding
ding.
And a priest. There's got to be a priest in there somewhere.
Always, yes.
And rain, some rain. We've got to have some
Boy,
rain.
do we have the stereotype movies.
Should be in the business.
I'm sure that's how it was every time someone got on a boat back then.
Of course it was. Of course it was. Right. Okay. So, and thank you. So thank you for your factoid there.
Redirect. Okay, here we are.
Mindful missing. You kicked this off, didn't you? And I've got something that connects with it quite well, I would like to think. The Estoril conferences that are coming up.
Yeah.
Not about Estoril, but in Estoril. They are these. I've sent them a message already, asking if I might do the show for those 2 days from Estoril. That could be some fun right there on the 1st and 2nd of September. And the idea, I'll play a little video because I think you said it connects fairly well with what
Yes,
you
for the segue works, I think, a little better if I start and then you go to it. But
oh, okay, then fair enough. All right, so we will return to this, the rehumanizing our world. And I think the Nova Business School here are prompted by the advent and concern about AI and the way the world's headed, hence their rehumanize our world theme for the conference. Yeah, so go ahead.
Or maybe just humanize it.
Well, that's oh yeah, okay. Like Gandhi's quote. What do you think of Western civilization? It'd be a great idea. Yeah.
Wonderful idea. Let's try it.
Yes.
Well, before I kick off, I sometimes I have stuff from last week, and I don't know what it was that made me take the note. Talking about things in Portugal, and then I read an article, or not an article, a statement from somebody about how it's important when you come to a new place, and this was specifically about Portugal, that you not make the things that you see mean the same things that similar things you see from where you came from mean.
Yeah.
I don't know if that made any sense, what I just said. I almost confused myself with that. But they were saying, you know, where we came from, in a city, there were concrete buildings that looked stained and some things that looked old and in decay. And to us, it meant poverty and violence and crime. So then we come to Portugal and we see similar things and we have the same sort of physical reaction to it. So they were cautioning people to observe from a new place as opposed to what it is you're familiar with, if you really want to get a sense of where you're being. I thought that was incredibly wise.
Yes.
But there was a piece of this somehow in the conversation last week. When we occasionally go to the gypsy market in Mafra, big open market, and I just observed a man who I assumed was the father, because it looked like there were grandparents and a wife and a couple of children, and he appeared to be the father. I really didn't know, and it was all in Portuguese. But he was very stern with his two sons who were getting too close to the bread vendor. They were getting too close to the bread, like they wanted to sample it or something. And I'm so used to, you know, Portuguese parents just sort of holding the shoulder of their child and gently nudging them back away if they don't want them to get too close or whatever. But he kind of grabbed him by the shoulder with a really sort of angry look and said something, mumbled something with an angry voice. And the kid like put his head down and looked, you know, ashamed or whatever. And I realized I hadn't witnessed behavior like that since I left the United States. Like zero. I hadn't seen any of it. And it took me almost like you're experiencing something new. It was very surprising. And it just had to do, for me, in part, it reminded me, first of all, how amazing the culture here is, how gentle and loving for the most part. Yes, people lose their tops. Generally, it's in the car, you know, but
lose their tops.
Yeah. Off it goes. Yes. But for the most part, no, not that. So it stood out by how infrequently, and in this case, first time in well over a year and a half, I'd seen any behavior like that toward another human being. So then I felt grateful that, you know, this is the case where I am. I live in a place that suits my style, my life, my way of being so much better than the sort of harsh almost every day getting smacked down by something in the United States, whether it's violence or a school shooting or just how someone's treating another person. It's like, wow, that's really nice. And I just want to make note of that's something, again, in the mindful missing, that I do not miss the other behavior. So this is sort of the opposite side of that, is being aware of things that we don't miss, like that.
Yeah, right.
So that I wanted to bring that up. It wasn't necessarily specific to the mindful missing piece, but I did want to make mention of it. I was talking before about noticing the things we miss, both before we come and after we get here. I think it applies to both. And I was recommending noticing some of the more subtle things, because there's the obvious things, family, friends, certain amusement parks, things that are big that we had there, that we knew there, that we don't have here, and it's obvious. And if we really enjoyed them, then we might miss them. But I noticed, for me, especially moving in, that things were deeper and more subtle. People say, are you missing anything? It's the initial thing is, no, not really. So it was when I started looking, or when I had an experience, and I shared this last week, of being at the Tapada in Mafra, where the trees and the plants and the animals have been there a very long time. They haven't been harvested. It's maintained because it's a public place to go visit, but it's the wildest place I've been in Portugal since I've been here, and I had a profound energetic response to it. And that's when I said, oh, I didn't even notice that. Yes. I missed that. Now I notice it, and it's something I missed. So I said, well, what was that? So places to look, if you're not sure what you're missing, or if you're just sort of feeling, I think I get a sense of saudade, that thing that they say you can't really explain in Portugal. There's a sense of that when it's the things you're missing that may not even be aware of. Mm-hmm. And for me, a lot of it goes to our senses, subtle smells, sounds that we might have heard, how things have tasted or how they taste different. Maybe even the texture of things, plants or the ground or whatever it is. The senses are places where we might not look at what do I miss.
Yeah.
And so I say, well, that's a good place to look. Now, for me, and this is the biggest part of what I really wanted to address in part 2 of this, because I really don't appreciate when people complain and don't offer solutions. So I've said, notice these things, and you may miss them or you may not. It's like, okay, see ya. It's like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
So the question then becomes, well, if I'm noticing I'm missing something, or if I'm noticing something feels not quite right, just unsettled somehow, what can I do to try to resolve that feeling if it's not something I want to be experiencing? And so I look at the things to consider before immigrating and then noticing after immigrating. You might, now I have to review this, you might not recognize you're missing something. The feeling is just there. Like I said with the wilderness, for me, I didn't notice until I had that experience.
Okay, yes.
Right. Yeah. So you might not notice that you're missing it until you step into it, and then you become aware of it. So the work is to raise your awareness by looking at, well, what are my senses telling me? Is there anything in there? What is my memory telling? What is nostalgia? When do I feel nostalgic? And what am I feeling nostalgic about? Because that may imply missing something. Yes. And by bringing it to your awareness, and we go back to my mantra of notice, choose, act, that's the noticing part. Then I can look for what is going on? Why am I missing? Is it all right to feel it? Does it feel pleasant, like a pleasant memory of something? Or is it painful a little bit, because I'm missing it? How am I experiencing that missing? And if it's something that I want to change, then what can I do about that? So some people either chase after or push away, depending on whether they're trying to avoid it or get to it. And I don't think that's the solution. The solution is looking at potential solutions. So if I'm missing something and want it in my life, where can I look where I am to replace that with something else that will provide that feeling for me?
Mhm.
You know, it might be public service, might be volunteering, might be getting physically active, whatever it might be for you, the thing you're missing, see if you can find something similar that will replace it here.
Yes.
So that's one way that we can deal with that missing. It's important, I think, to look for the attachment, because sometimes it's just, and I'd say just, not like it's easy, but it is simple. The concept is simple. Sometimes it's as simple as letting go, saying, oh, I'm not there anymore. Can I be okay with that not being in my life, and accepting that I'm in a new place and having new experiences? If I can accept that, then there's the suffering in the missing goes away, and it can become a warm, nostalgic feeling. It's like, oh yeah, I remember that, as opposed to, oh, I don't have that anymore. You know,
So bad, yes.
so if we can let go of it, but we have to do that genuinely. We can't push it away and pretend that doesn't bother me anymore. You know, it's like, no, that's not going to work.
You make an interesting point, don't you? And it's such a subtle point, and I guess it's something that a psychotherapist or any other professional of that kind will attune themselves to. Has this person worked on this? Is this a conscious separation from the pain, or is it a glossing over, or what would you call it? You know,
Spiritual bypass sometimes,
spiritual
depending
bypass.
on the level. Yeah, it's just
They're all
pretending.
Because you and I had an interesting exchange with our dear buddy, the Yorkshireman in the Algarve, Paul Richards. It's like, you know, life's too short to be asking all these sort of difficult questions. It's like, okay, fair enough, and I respect that. You know, that's the position, and I see that. You know, that I see an aspect of myself in that when I'm doing that. It's like, you know, I just don't want to talk about this, and that this is what you're talking about, isn't it? Is it if it's not distinguished? This is the beauty of therapy in a way, isn't it? Is the distinguishing of things. You know, there is the stereotype, isn't there, that I think Paul is riffing on. You know, like, it's just, you know, you talk about your problems, you just get more problems, or I don't need a therapist. You know, life is great. There can be something missed. And that's the great sort of cliche or misunderstanding, I think, about therapy. It's just like constantly talking about problems. That's not the point, really, is it? I mean, it might begin there, but the great endeavor of it is to distinguish things such that you're free. I think, would that not be one aspect of therapy?
Yeah, well, and the freedom to me is choice.
Yes.
It's freedom of choice, which frees us up to act in the ways that we choose. So it's essentially all those questions that people don't want to talk about are simply raising awareness.
Yeah.
Like, how am I going to be able to change my life if I'm not happy with it, and I have no idea why I'm not happy with it?
Right. And
we don't wish
it on anyone, do we? We don't wish it. We all know what that's like, and we don't wish it on anyone. And here's a flipping solution, possibly. Yeah.
Well, yeah, and the thing is, the solution isn't do this, other than pay attention to why. Why do you feel that way?
Yeah,
you know, pay attention to yourself, and then look at what are the solutions that will work for me.
Yeah.
And, you know, in that conversation, in a more humorous way, you know, if it's like, oh, it's too much work and I just want to live my life, it's like, that's fine. Yes. Absolutely wonderful. If you are living the life of your dreams from that position, keep doing that. Yes. I'm not trying to tell you have to change. But in my experience, I don't experience too many people who are having that position who are thrilled with their lives.
Yeah.
And if they were aware, they would make a different choice. But it starts with being aware, and that's the work we don't want to do. It's too much work to think about that.
And perhaps seeing that you've got a choice at all, which is fantastic.
And sometimes we don't want to talk, and that's fine. But at some point, we may want to. So just stay awake, stay aware. So just to conclude it.
I mean, I'm guessing you've had this, you know, when someone says to you, okay, I get it. You know, so almost like the clients who get sent to therapy. I know you're going to make me talk and I don't want to. It's like, okay, that's fine. Hold on a minute. You're not going to make me talk. No, it's fine. No, make me talk. I need to talk.
Well, I've had teens, especially boys, that cross their arms and in their
Yes.
first 10 minutes, they go, you can't make me cry. You're just here to make people cry. You can't make me cry. And I'd look at them and go, well, yes, I could, but that's not why I'm here.
Yeah, right. I mean, it just reminds me of Good Will Hunting. That movie is so beautiful, where Robin Williams, of course, calling the young, I can't remember the young actor's name, but calls him Sport, doesn't he? And that interplay is there as a lovely central theme of the movie. You know, the young people are living their lives. Robin Williams is living his life as the pastoral carer at the college, I think. And they keep coming back, don't they, to this the central focus of the movie, or the spine of the movie, where there is this interplay between the old man and the young man. And there's a double, you know, it's deep, isn't it? It's three-dimensionally deep, that connection between them, because they learn something about themselves. They both learn that. It's not just the therapist who does
Yeah,
that.
well, Matt Damon in that role is an incredibly intelligent human being.
Yes.
He's very aware. He's self-aware and he's other-aware. And so he calls Robin Williams on his shit.
Yes, indeed.
And that, you know, that is, for me as a therapist, is never to assume that I know better. I'm no better than you. We are the same in many, many ways. And I don't profess to be an expert on your life. So it's more difficult to call someone on that and calling it shit, you know, than more truth. It's like, yes, you speaking the truth. So I am very aware that it's not my position to tell other people how they should be living their lives. If anything, I'm just directing them to ask themselves how they want to live their lives and what they can do to accomplish that.
Yeah, I mean, you've got one or two serving suggestions, haven't you, for somebody who's wondering about what to cook tonight in the therapeutic sense? Yeah.
Yes. Well, and then the last aspect of this, and then I'll be all wrapped up. I've been feeling the last couple of weeks, like on Monday last, I was like, okay, I'll get to part 2. And then we got on to introversion, extroversion with Louise. And okay, that's fine. I'll do that. But I really did want to sort of conclude this, because this is the solutions oriented part. And it's based on the notice, choose, and act. So the choices are looking for ways that you can satisfy it, you know, reconnecting with whatever you might replace it with. And I stated the phrase that I really liked: fall in love with new experiences. How do I fall in love with the new experiences? So that those will be the things that I have, as opposed to the things I'm missing that I can't have anymore. And then ultimately it's the act part. How do I put this into action? So I say, you can perform rituals. Rituals can be incredibly powerful, of letting go or bringing in new experience, or letting go old experiences. Meditation is a standard standby, just being calm and quieting the mind and settling into where you are and letting yourself figure out what needs to come next and following that. For me, a part of that is a practice of gratitude, as opposed to looking at, once I have looked at what am I missing and what can I do about that and what do I choose about it, then I look at gratitude. What am I grateful for? Which always leads me, I refer to gratitude as my key to peace, because when I really focus sincerely, not just in a rote way, what am I grateful for, truly grateful for, that I can feel in my body, I'm at peace. I'm no longer feeling sad or maybe nostalgic, but not missing. So meditation, gratitude can be ways. Connecting with new people, finding new people to have relationships with. I try to consider the extroverts position as well as the introverts. It's more difficult generally for introverts to do that part, but there are ways, and we talked about that on last Monday. Finding places or activities to try things, new things, or maybe find old things that exist here that you can do. And then finally, the be of service, I almost always recommend, because they have demonstrated that it is not possible to be depressed while you are being of service, while you're helping somebody else. In that moment of helping someone else, you cannot be depressed. You might feel sad, but that's an emotion that comes and goes. So those are potential solutions, and I'm sure there are many more, but I just wanted to make a point that there are proactive things you can do to resolve that sense of missing if you don't want to experience that sense of missing. And that's a huge if. I don't assume that because someone is feeling sad that they don't want to feel sad anymore. So, but if you get to a point where you're feeling sad and you don't want to feel sad, what can you do about that? So that's the same thing with this mindful missing that I've been talking about.
Thank you very much. From the book of the same name, which will be in the bookstores soon, Mindful Missing by James Holley.
Wait a minute, that's book number 10 to be written. Okay.
Sorry. Oh yeah, along with our erotic novel. Do you remember those days?
I do remember. Yeah, I think I took some notes on that a while back. I probably got a few of them somewhere.
Yeah, haven't we? There's a lot more double entendre under the bridge since then. Grateful for good friends. Here we go. Gratitude. Grateful for good friends to spend a delightful Sabado afternoon. Tex-Mex for lunch in Vienna. That sounds good. Then Mission Impossible 7 Part 1. What on earth?
Oh my goodness! Now we're getting into sub-chapters.
That's a lot of movie, isn't it?
Yes.
So that's a very big concession. Is that what they call when a movie splits up like that? With sweet and salty popcorn. Oh, living the dream, having both, and topped off with coffees and pastries to finish the evening. Sounds like a fantastic weekend. We'll hear Viv's theory of the royals and why they don't kill each other. Just because I wanted to play this to you. If it's appropriate, I'll play the whole thing. We're talking about here going to Estoril on the 1st and 2nd of September, rebalancing our world. Let's see how much of this video we can bear, because the beginning of it is a bit depressing, and then we'll talk to Bob and Viv.
Well, actually, the beginning is the very beginning is really what I was just talking about. But then, yeah, it kind of gets into the and then.
All right, let's see how much we can take, and then we'll talk to Bob and Viv after this.
The heart starts beating. Lungs are The heart starts beating. Lungs are filled up with air. Blood runs over our entire body. We have been granted the privilege of life. We are alive. Feeling comes. The touches, the smells, the sounds, the tastes, the images. As our thinking develops, decisions are made, actions are taken. Life is lived while time keeps running. Many lives have been lived before us. Today, we inherit the legacy of previous decisions and actions. It led us to where we are now, to the world that is currently in our hands.
China has identified the cause of a mysterious new virus.
COVID-19 can be characterized as a pandemic. I see those destroyed buildings. I imagine my family in one of those houses. There is no way a war can be acceptable in the 21st century.
But while there is life, there is hope. Now the tables have turned. We have the power to decide, to act. What legacy will we choose to leave? There is only one planet Earth. In this planet live billions of people. While the Earth screams for regeneration, people struggle in their pursuit for happiness, fighting against each other. In the face of multiple overlapping crises, the world needs rebalance. What decisions are we going to make? What actions will we undertake? This is our planet. We are the people. We need to talk about peace. What kind of world are we leaving for the ones yet to come, for our sons, daughters, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, and the ones of their own. Will it be a future of hope?
Well, when you put it like that, of course we're going to leave them a fantastic world and not a terrible old crap hole. Good morning, Bob and Viv. How are you?
Howdy, howdy.
Well, that was quite the video upon which you made your entrance this morning. I had to let that run because it was quite sobering, wasn't it? You know, that some of the images that we saw there. We're not used to that in the mornings here on Good Morning Portugal.
Yeah.
And I was glad to see some children playing in cornfields and some tall pine trees and some sunshine at the end. And a woman smoking on a balcony, which was a symbol of hope at one point, wasn't it? A woman dancing and smoking on a balcony. Yay! All is not lost.
Freedom!
Freedom!
Got the freedom to do it.
Yeah.
Yes. How are you, Bob and Viv?
Wonderful.
Really well. Yeah, we thought we'd change our background today. I don't know if it's a good choice or not. It's looking outside.
Light's not good. But
are you in Jamaica? Where are you? In the West Indies? What's going on this morning?
That's our backyard.
That's our backyard.
Check you out.
One of the big false yucca trees standing behind us there, working relentlessly on pushing the wall out. So
it's succeeding too. It's going to win. Yeah.
Is it? There's a model for us human beings, right? Slow and steady wins the race, doesn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Amazing. Amazing. Well, the Portugal Pathfinders are here. We'll have a look at your website because it's all coming together beautifully. Before we do, though, Viv, we were talking about royals leaving Portugal and sailing to England. Do you have a view on this? Are you a student of history?
Yes, I love history.
Oh, okay. So what's the strategy then with royals?
Well, the reason they didn't kill each other except in war, especially the female regents, was because you simply didn't kill a regent, because what would then stop your people from killing you? If they saw you kill one, they're going, it gives them ideas. So it's like, wait, I don't want it done to me, so I better not do it to them. And yet she got over it. She killed Mary anyway. But
okay.
There's a summary of all human history right there.
It took years for her to overcome.
Did it anyway.
Yeah. She worked really hard at it, and she got to where she could kill her.
Which one's that?
Mary, Queen of Scots.
Got over.
Elizabeth got over her reluctance to kill Mary and killed her. Yeah.
She knows this stuff I don't.
Yeah.
So
ideally, you don't do that. Ideally,
you don't do that.
Yeah, and you marry your cousins, because that's quite another good strategy as well, isn't it? If you interbreed, kind of.
Well, Mary was also her cousin, so there was the family connection. She got over that too.
There's no getting around it, Carl.
No, she had to go.
She had to go.
She had to go. Yeah.
She had to go. Okay, fair enough. A few more comments before we get underway. It sounds like we're on an airplane, isn't it? Just back from Fundown Market with my beetroot, spinach, coriander, and parsley plugs, having consumed the best bifana galão and a shot. Con cheirinho. And we got some pictures that we'll share from you. Thanks for those, Pete, this morning. Joao Denort's wonderful little list of gratitude. If anyone else wants to submit one of those, you're very welcome indeed. Some grim news. What's happening this Monday morning? A dead body of a man was found in the municipality. This just in from Antonio Miranda de Corvo, where our dear Filomena lives, of course. Last Thursday, the victim was quickly identified and two suspects were already in custody the next day. My goodness. So that's been cleared up, thankfully. What horrible happening, but the police all over it by the sound of it. And that's what we tend to see in Portugal, isn't it? The killers are generally known to the victims, aren't they? And the police are all over this, which you can't say is a good thing, of course, because not on any level is that a good thing. It's just slightly better, I suppose, that it has been resolved here in Portugal. Well, horrible news to hear. Thank you for sharing, Antonio. Horseradish, from murder to horseradish this morning. Still looking for horseradish, Rabano, not found yet at major grocers here. However, straight to your rescue. We get horseradish at Continent on the international aisle. Pete has horseradish at Fundale Market. Saw it this morning. You're so right about the coffee, about which Susie's saying the coffee is great. I've decided that Portuguese coffee is the very best. Even Continent brand coffee and decaf are excellent and good value. I think it's written into the Portuguese constitution that whenever coffee is drunk or ordered, it should be of good quality. I've heard it said it's not the best in the world, but it is the most consistently good. And that I would agree with entirely. And yeah, occasionally it does taste like the best in the world as well. Thank you everybody for your comments, and thank you for being here this morning. We're talking to the Portugal Pathfinders, and you have a lovely shiny new website.
We do.
Right here. So how's it all going with this wonderful project of yours?
Well,
Bob's head is still attached to his body, which is a good thing.
Well done, Bob. Well done.
It was spinning at 360 for quite a while there.
It was. We got some excellent help from a friend, Kevin. On Friday, we were struggling with the issue that all of our photos are Apple, and that they're typically the live photos, and putting them onto an HP computer to get it onto a website is really difficult. So we've got a lot of tweaking we want to do yet.
But it's up there with all the pertinent information.
And we're really, really interested on the people that look at it and want to reach out to us on our Bob and Viv at Portugal Pathfinders email. We're interested in what questions this leaves as to what we're doing. You know, we want to be able to communicate well. The concept's born out of the fact that we see people leaving. Come take a view of where you want to live before you do it, James. If you aren't heart called, we've often talked that those of us that literally it was in our hearts, it didn't matter what we found.
Yeah.
But if you're in doubt, check it out. Woo.
Hey, I see what you did there. So that needs to be on here somewhere.
It does.
Check it out. And you make a distinction there, a good one. Heart called. So there is a little distinction here, isn't there, between heart called and mind called, perhaps, to Portugal. Yeah.
Well, and that's where we've seen the people that end up deciding it's not for me.
Right.
After they sell everything they own and spend all the money and the time and the effort to get here, I can't imagine what would make us go back. I can't imagine what would make it worth it to us to go through all this and then go back.
Yeah.
And
You know, some people use checklists and they go, all the boxes are ticked, so it's for me. But they don't approach it. How does it feel to be here? It's like, well, all the boxes are ticked. It's got to work.
Yeah.
So I think the best decisions are always when we use mind and heart to make those big decisions.
Always.
Yeah. But if we're going to use one, I'm going to the heart.
Yes.
If
Absolutely.
I'm going to depend on one source of information for me.
Yes.
It's funny when I was in Caldash I think it was on Friday lunchtime of last week. I saw a tattoo on. You know how you glimpse tattoos these days. Back in the day, I knew where I stood. There we go. Look, he's like a salty sailor. When my mum and dad had a pub, and there's a pretty rum old clientele at the pub. The men had tattoos, and they didn't hide them on their calf or under their armpit or behind their earlobe. Their tattoos were right there. The naked lady was on the forearm, wasn't she? And nowadays you get a little glimpse of a tattoo, don't you? And I saw one on the back of back of a bicep. So the girl was sitting in front of me looking away, and I saw a little line drawn tattoo of a heart and a brain holding hands. And I thought,
that's good.
Yeah, and a younger generation got it all under control. They're understanding the importance of putting the two together. And I have to say, I'm with you, James. If you've got to make a choice, and that may be because we live in a very rational age, you know, and we've maybe forgotten a little bit about our intuition and how we listen to our hearts. So how about that? Is that part of this course, or could it be actually helping people listen to their hearts more? Do you do that?
Yes.
You do?
Yes. Yes.
I just ask, how does it feel?
Yeah.
In your body, how does it feel?
Absolutely. How does it make you feel?
Yeah.
Well, I like this, I like that, I like this, and this works. And they've got hospitals. Like, well, how does it feel? Mm,
Are you
Yeah.
trying to
not
make
really
me cry?
feeling it.
Are you trying to make me cry, James? Yes, very good. Very
Even if I wanted to, no.
Well,
I could influence you to cry, though.
I know you can, and you've done it. Welcome
There-
to Portugal
there's-
Pathfinders. Sorry,
yeah,
James.
well, there's another aspect of it too that we realized as we started putting the questions together. As everybody here pretty much knows, we originally were going to do cross country tours, and we settled on this for now, just because it's easier to get going. But this also, the concept we put together here, will also work very well for somebody who knew they needed to be here. They are here. They were heart drawn. They came, even though their spot maybe not be their forever spot.
Yep.
This is also perfect for somebody that wants to look around a different area, have a landing spot, and take a few days. And the beauty of this is it's totally customizable to
Their interests.
yeah, whatever
Yeah. Their
interest
desires,
they're
their
coming
interests.
with.
Yes.
Yeah. So it also works for people in country that have never been up here. If they just want to come up and see it with no thoughts of, is this where I want to be? That's fine too. We're glad to take them around. We've been doing it ever since we got here. So
Of course you have. Of course you have. Yeah. All right. Well, let's have a look at one of those itineraries then that you've got here, or the itinerary that you're starting with here. Magic of the Minha. That's lovely, isn't it? Day one, arrival and orientation, and a classic Portuguese building there. I'm with you there already. Look at that. That looks fantastic.
Mhm.
Can smell the coffee. Upon arrival at the Porto airport, your host Bob and Viv will meet you on the drive back to Ponte Lima. We can all get more acquainted. Once here, you can settle into our welcoming guest apartment. Oh, I'm loving this. Depending on your energy level, you can simply relax and recover, or we can share our personal journey and answer your questions. We can also learn your story and expectations on your mission. This evening will set the tone for the rest of the stay. That's very thoughtful because, of course, some people when they fly are ready to go out, aren't they? They have a shower and they want to hit the town. Others need to sleep for a day. So you're covering all bases here.
Yes.
But
yeah.
talk us through this one then. Explore, experience, enjoy. What happens on day two?
Well, we just want to find out, number one, what their interest is. Are you interested in the coast? Are you interested in the interior villages, larger cities? We're not going to do big city tours because there are professionals that do that, Portuguese natives who live there, grew up there, speak the English. So we're not going to do the big city tours, but we want to be able to give them an overview and based on their interests. And one of the nice things about where we live is that the Spain is 40 minutes, the coast is 30 minutes, and the mountains are 40 minutes. And so in between, you get a whole lot of feel for what the area is like, and can stop in any number of places to, like James says, get that feel. What's it like for you? So day two is the drive around, stop based on your interests. And
We'll take them to cafes. We'll take them to whatever part of the Minho they want to see, or they think they want to see, because they're going to want to see more of it. But that'll be kind of the sightseeing, ease them into a day.
Yeah.
Excellent. And two countries for the price of one. They'll be able to say they've been to Spain,
Yes.
but they or just looked at it. At the moment, actually, Solar Pete is saying an important reminder for everyone due to the visit of the Pope. They are for the first time. Is it the first time? Anyway, they are doing it now, Pete, checking all those entering and exiting Portugal via Spain. So you folks who live close to Spain, remember to keep your documents with you because they are being checked. You can get into quite an easy habit, can't you, of popping back and forth across the border? But of course, you could get checked at any time, couldn't you? So it's worth carrying them. Okay, there you go. So that's day two. Explore, experience, enjoy. Then I recognize that building. We are a day in the life. Day three, the immigrant insights and practical Portugal. So are we getting a little bit more serious at this point?
Yes, we're getting more serious. We're going to show them grocery stores and farmacias, talk to them about the healthcare system. We want them to get these rainbows and unicorns out of their eyes and replace it with real information. so that no one is surprised by anything as far as we can cover it.
Yes.
And let them know that this is not where you came from. It's not going to be, you can't make it. So either get over that or don't come.
That's
People
very,
that give
that's
you,
very
smile
strict.
at you and give you money every day. No, that doesn't happen.
What? I'm leaving. Right. Okay. I'm still waiting for that. I'm still waiting for that. But James said something about this earlier on. It's the coding of things, isn't it? This means this in my culture.
Yes.
Come over here. There's graffiti over things.
Yes.
The accountants work in a different way. You've got to be ready for that. And I suspect this is what you're saying on day 3, isn't it?
Yes. We want them to know all this. Yes.
Well, and one of the crazy things, just because I'm not a computer geek, but when it comes to building and construction and heating and cooling and electricity and how it works, one of the stops on the tour will be our attic, where when you open the side under the knee wall, you can see daylight.
Yeah, all around it.
That's
not normal in the U.S. It's like, what?
But that's the way these houses breathe.
Yeah.
We
don't have mold.
Yeah. So it's and we will show them pictures of the wall that was green outside, exterior wall, but it was green before we washed it. And on both sides of the green was black. We want to show them that our boiler that heats the house is in a room 30 feet outside the house. I mean, things that we want to accentuate the fact that they are different. It's not good, bad thing. It's just
different.
It is different here.
Well,
and you need to be aware of that. We've connected with John and Pam that we might be able to see their new build, because one of the things we're in conversations with people is if you aren't adaptable from a heating and cooling and wiring and sound, et cetera, get a new build.
Yeah.
And then you can have it the way you want it.
Right.
And so that's part of the larger perspective we want to give folks of this is what it's really like here. And yes, we have a picture of us in February. Viv's got this heavy sweater under a real big,
really
fluffy fleece robe
with a fur collar.
And I've got a sweatshirt underneath a fleeced hooded sweatshirt, standing in our kitchen smiling. Because it was what this winter, it got down to what, 14 in the house when we were getting up,
It
was only at 7 o'clock in the morning though.
Yes. It warmed up. When you first got out of bed, it was cold.
I'm getting memories of the old Wizard of Oz film when Dorothy says to Toto, I don't think we're in Kansas anymore.
We said that a lot. Like, we're not in Kansas anymore.
Yes.
But our smiles were as genuine as they are here with Charlie and Michelle. It was fine. It was just adapt, and the space heater hadn't warmed up the space yet. That's all it was,
Yeah. But Viv, did you have to negotiate with Bob here? Because I know that Bob wants to take people into the attic. He wants to show them a stucco wall. He wants to show them an electric point. Did you have to kind of, adjust that a little bit? Enough on the home improvements, Bob.
Let's look at the view for a minute.
Like, honey, some people don't care about this. Some people don't even know what they're looking at.
It's an important reason to show it. Yeah, some people won't think of it, then it'll be important in their life.
I think you should show it. It's important for them to know that their house isn't going to fall down if they can see blue sky through their roof. It's okay.
But it's important to know it's not insulated.
Yes. It is.
You're right. I'm just having a bit of fun with you. I think it's absolutely right. And, people need to learn, don't they? The green and blacks is not a chocolate here. It's a kind of mold.
Yes.
It's chocolate as well, because
it's a natural insulator.
Yes. It's another nice reframe this morning. Now, this poor fella here. This is the wrap up and the action plan. That's great. So you are encouraging people to make a plan and coaching them on it.
Yeah.
This guy's enjoying the Portuguese food here, and then Bob just wants him to have a selfie. I think is he talking
to
nice
friends?
Is that
They're not people. They're our friends.
I know this couple, don't I? Yes, I do. Yes. They're
Yeah.
hilarious, aren't they? I can
Yeah.
imagine how frank he
They're
was with you, asking him to take a
Oh,
selfie.
yes.
So they're having a great time there, and lots of lovely street scenes. People
Yes.
having a great time, al fresco, and that is day 4 then. So what happens on that final day?
Well, wrap it up,
Yeah,
basically.
we wrap it up. We'll feed them breakfast and see, depending on where they're going from here, we'll give them transportation to either back to the airport or to a bus or train station, if that's the way they're going, or to a rental car agency, wherever they need to go. And we'll wrap up any questions. If there's something they were dying to see that we didn't get to, we'll do that.
Yeah.
And they have the option of extending the stay if they want to.
Oh, very good.
Yeah.
Which I think
Definitely.
is likely. That's likely, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Hard to say, you know.
Yeah. Okay.
We're not going to count our guests before they arrive.
No,
but-
no.
Yeah,
But it's,
well, I'll be very surprised if they don't want to hang out some more. Antonio F hitting the like button. I think that's for you, for what you're doing here, which is fantastic. And one of the all important parts of the website I noticed is being able to book a call, and that people can do with you before they don't need to commit at that point. They can just have a chat with you and see what's what.
Yeah.
Yes, the call is free. They can get more information, talk about pricing, all of that. We are going to have we do have special introductory pricing for the next probably until December. So
Right. All right. Congratulations. It's been lovely, hasn't it, James, seeing this emerge?
Absolutely, yeah.
it took forever. We're there now.
No, it didn't.
Well,
That's my logical mind. My analytic one.
It took a long time.
Forever is a very long time. No,
It is.
I understand the feeling. Yes, it
It
felt
just
like
felt like
forever.
forever. Yeah.
It was a
Yes.
birth.
Yes, yes,
It was definitely a birth.
absolutely.
Well, I think you're in that swaddling stage, nursing a little
Yes.
infant in your arms, and I'm looking forward to hearing the feedback from the first people, as I'm sure you are.
We are too.
Sarah Yemen, look at this. Stabal vibes very much like our own town in America. Friend from Atlanta walked into the main square here and said, "Sarah, this is like a Portuguese," and I got to say this like an Atlantan would, Decatur. Is that right?
Decatur. Yeah.
Decatur.
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 Yeah.
Y'all.
Not Decatur.
Decatur, y'all. All right. And what's this? Oh, I think Suze. Yeah, Suze needs a plan as well. And we're saying earlier on how much she's enjoyed hanging out with all 4 people on the screen this morning. That's the beauty of our community. And we were talking about this on the Man Cave. There's that you can play bingo. You can have a bingo card where you actually, you cross off people you meet in real life. So if you haven't got one of those bingo cards, why not do that? A few more comments from what's been said earlier on. Look at this, Sarah. This is making me happy that we were cautious. We still have a house and a car and a ton of stuff in America, Decatur. We can handle that eventually. We're slowly and happily realizing we live here. How lovely.
There's no one way to do it.
No, there is not.
No.
It sounds like Sarah and the Yeomans have done it in the right way for them. We really get a sense of that, don't we? Going back to all the nodding that went on before, can't imagine going back. James, Bob, and Viv certainly in that condition. T-Duck the same. We also can't imagine going back. In an extreme circumstance, I could see going somewhere else, but not back to the USA. Have you ever wondered what he sounds like? I hope this is going to work this time. Check this out.
Hey, T-Duck here, checking in from the back office. Bom dia, alegria, Gumpers. I hope you're all having a wonderful day here in Portugal or in whatever duck pond you call home. Ciao, y'all.
That's some good voiceover work there, isn't it? However,
That's good.
Absolutely.
soon after T-Duck was in the studio,
This is Mrs. Duck. What I want to know is who is going to clean up all this duck shit.
Aren't they brilliant? They could. I mean, they've come here to retire and have a good time, but they could be doing voiceover work.
Right?
Good.
Yeah.
Excellent work there. Excellent work. If you want a commercial to play on Portuguese commercial radio, Bob and Viv, I think T-Duck's your man.
Yeah.
Right
Sounds
there
like
with those production skills, really good. Yeah, there's Susie's comment. Delightful GMP panel today. Having spent time with all 4 of you lovely folks on the panel, I need to get out and meet more Gumpers in person. Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's always fun. It's always fun.
It is, isn't it? And going further back to this morning, before we look at Very quickly, the quiz of the day and some dad jokes if you're up for that, guys. Yes, great suggestion on making a list of the things we don't miss. I had a bout of homesickness the other day, and that sort of list would have helped. It does happen. It definitely happens. We're here every Monday with James, and he helps us with this every mindful Monday here. Having a tough time finding quality baking chocolate and heavy cream. Good to hear where to find horseradish. Baking chocolate, I mean, that's incontinent, isn't it? I don't know. Quality, I guess, is very subjective.
Yeah.
Continental.
I've noticed a difference in the flavor of chocolate to the chocolate I'm used to in the United States. I don't know what it is. It's just different somehow.
It's not creamy. Yeah, the chocolate in the US is creamier, and the baking chocolate here doesn't melt the same. The
flavor of it too, for me, it's like
the flavor is not the same.
Right.
I don't know why. I don't know.
Yes.
Neither.
No, I think
It's
you're right.
still chocolate and it's still good.
I tell you, when it's in her zucchini bread,
You know what?
chocolate zucchini bread.
Chocolate
Nice.
too.
Hey.
yeah,
All right.
yeah,
It's pretty good.
good stuff.
Yep.
Good stuff.
It might have to be a shift, or Amazon. You might be able to get it flown in. But I mean, come on, Americans, your chocolate is really weird. You know, when I try to
I'm
Hershey,
not saying it's good. I'm just saying it's
Yeah.
different, and it's like,
It's
I need to
different.
adjust my
Yeah.
taste buds. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hershey
The chocolate
bar.
here tastes good.
What?
It's just different.
Yes, in the supermarket. In the supermarket, what's this? 2 weeks ago, a guy came up and vigorously shook hands and asked how we were. It was a lovely fellow who runs our Bifana and Galal stall in the market. Would never
Yeah.
happen in the UK.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Yep. And
It does
happy.
here all the time.
Yep. Anyone speaking to Jason today, do send our best birthday wishes to him. Okay, so if I may, then, folks, you might like to have a little stab at this morning. We are taking a look at the Portugal quiz question of the day. It is the Learn About Portugal quiz for Monday, the 24th of July, 2023. Despite being home to only 11 million people, Portugal is one of the more densely illuminated countries in Western Europe, says Jay Bodsworth. He's a journalist, or I've called him a journalist here.
What
And
does densely illuminated mean?
It's light at night.
Okay.
Okay. Nowhere near, however, the density of the Benelux countries or Italy, but denser than France and Spain, he continues, does Jay, in anticipation of an upcoming night sky phenomenon that those of us in Portugal might still be able to enjoy if the stars align, as it were. What is a nocturnal experience that might have wishes come true in the next few days and weeks? Is it the International Space Station performing a 3-point turn to alter its direction in the sky? Is it EasyJet arriving at Lisbon airport on time? Is it the long-awaited CIA disclosure of UFO activity? Is it the Perseid meteors and several minor constellations taking a shower? Or is it the firework and laser show at the climax of the Pope's visit to Portugal? We shall leave that hanging there. Go guess at learnaboutportugal.com. A few guesses already. Do you want to say something about that?
Well, one thought is that we are not very far from one of the dark skies areas in.
There is a dark sky area in central Portugal. So
and even in the Jurash up
And the
there,
Jurash, there's
just
one.
above us a ways too.
Yeah.
So there are some
I don't
dark
know if
sky
that was
areas.
official, but there's one official international dark sky site here.
Yeah.
It's
And we
Alqueva.
came to one. They're phenomenal.
Yeah,
They are incredible, aren't they? Alqueva. So I think what Jay's referring to, although it isn't the darkest of night skies here in Portugal, that's probably along the littoral and the cities, of course, Porto, Lisbon, and that whole coastal vibe there. But as you go inland, the Alqueva certainly prides itself on astro tourism, I think they call it. So yeah.
Well, I was incredibly moved by a world map from space, and it was overlaid so that it was the entire planet as if it was at night, and it was just the lights from space. And it moved me and it frightened me. I mean, it was a very, very powerful photo just to see the entire planet lit up by electric lights. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then a little dot of light way off in the middle of an ocean somewhere. You go, what is that?
Some tiny little island.
Yes.
What is that? And isn't it beautiful? Again, so moving. I mean, I saw a shooting star just out the corner of my eye when I was walking the dogs the other night. It doesn't take that much to get out into a darker area. And
No.
to spend a moment looking up into the sky is incredible, isn't it? I mean,
It
when we
is
remember
incredible.
to do
It
that,
is.
it is a beautiful thing to do. So, yes, the guest, T-Duck thinks it is the International Space Station making a handbrake turn in the coming days. That'd be quite a sight. And by the time
Screeching tires in space.
and did they do it half an hour ago by the time it gets to us? I don't know. But we do have dad jokes. I know that for sure. Let's finish with these today. Sorry to keep you past 10, but it's been lovely hanging out with you all this morning. And you guys got to go and enjoy that Pont Lima vibe there. It's looking beautiful with the young tree. And Ericeira, of course. How's your weather this morning, Bob and Viv? Is it a beautiful day up there?
It's beautiful. It's cool. This summer has been so perfect up here. It's been very little, very hot weather.
Yeah.
It's just been perfect.
How's the wind? Has it been windy?
Not here.
No, okay.
On the coast it has, but not
Yeah,
here.
it's
There's
been
just
windy
been a
here a
little
lot.
breeze. It's been so nice. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's been
we've had
great.
a lot of breeze.
Exactly.
Yeah, so same for you, James. A bit breezy in Ericeira.
Yeah, breezy is an understatement. I mean, it's been downright blow things over windy on many days. Very unusual to my first summer here. Last summer was not as windy. I know on the coast it's always going to be more breezy than other places, but it's just like every day is a strong wind. So that's why I was asking how far do I go?
Not
we've
so
had
much windy here.
Yep. Okay, one for you, Bob, then, to start with. My pipe dream is to someday be a plumber.
I like that. Yeah.
Yes, met with some nice nice response.
In fact, I have to do that tomorrow.
Yeah.
So
He's going to be a plumber tomorrow.
Do you know what? If you ever need to borrow a tap thread re-threader, somebody gave me one the other day. I have got one.
We have a bed we could use that on. Yes, it's missing a
Well,
bolt.
next time I see it, you can borrow that. You can borrow that.
Cool.
I got a tap wrench as well. I've got a few of these things squirreled away.
Well, cool.
We can go into my man shed and just look at things and go, whoa, together, can't we? Next time you're here.
There you go.
All right.
So here's my mind curiosity around plumbers in Portugal. Is the plumber's uniform require a little butt crack exposure in the back?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And we'll see if he's on time tomorrow.
So it's universal. All right, good.
It's universal, and I dare you to either park your bike there or pop a flower in there. Just see what's
Well,
Okay.
there was an old Saturday Night Live kid. It was a flashlight holder.
Yes.
Yeah.
Flashlight holder. Nice. Perfect.
Very good. Do you want to borrow my torch? No, you're okay.
No, I don't.
Would you mind just lighting up this spot for me?
You hold it.
I don't want to touch that thing.
Like a doctor's pen, isn't it? Never borrow a doctor's
No,
pen.
thank you.
No, thank you.
I got a repetitive stress injury from going to work every day. For those of us who don't do that in quite the same way, isn't that
I
wonderful?
remember
I've done
that.
that. Yes.
Yeah, I found a treatment for that worked really well for me.
Yeah.
Retirement.
Retired?
Or just finding something you love to do. Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
okay.
Either
Yes.
way, both ways
Yeah.
work.
It's great today,
Retirement work for us.
Yes.
We're back. We're back with our Portugal quiz question of the day. Did you know that if you have 3 triple espressos here in Portugal, I'm going to add, you can see your house from space? Yes. Some people can speak, but can't sleep for 3 days with that sort of Portuguese standard, I think. A lot of Portuguese people drink a lot of coffee, don't they?
Yeah, they
During
do.
the day. So they may become accustomed to it. When I did some teaching in a secondary school, they had a cafe inside the school serving coffee, which it was quite amazing to see that. So definitely a cultural thing. Right, folks, have a beautiful day. Thank you for being here. Congratulations, Bob and
Thank
Viv.
you.
Thank
Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yes.
And
Good to
thank you.
see you all.
Thank you, James, for concluding on mindful missing. It was a great topic. And we
Always
look
my
forward
pleasure. Thank you.
to seeing you next week. So nice big round of applause. Send you on your way, and we'll be back again tomorrow. Have a great day, everybody.
Thank you.
Ciao, ciao.
Bye.
And it's a bye for now.
In Portugal, there's a YouTube show full of fun facts you need to know. Carl rings the bell and the members show to the GMP. the audience will do so in kind. A little vanity mixed with some insanity on the morning show with GMP.
Good morning, Portugal, and I'd like to welcome you to another fantastic day.
Hey, Gumpers.